Hey guys, this is your Breakfast with the Brand, and I am your host, Sean East. Again, guys, it's been a moment, hasn't it? I know it's been a moment. I've been very busy traveling, doing the things that we love to do, finding phenomenal, purposeful brands, right? So you know me for personal branding, you know me for branding, but we're kind of shifting from the personal to the purposeful. We've been working with a lot of leaders and leadership brands and causes that are near and dear to our heart. I just want to pre-frame you, right? I just want to pre-frame you because sometimes you hear a story. Everybody has a story, right? Everybody has a story, but sometimes you hear a story and you know that it's the story. So to make a long story short, To make a long story short, I'm a part of a group right now, phenomenal group of entrepreneurs and business owners. Can't mention exactly where, undisclosed location, undisclosed event. But I'm a part of a phenomenal group of business owners we're tasked with building a business out of nowhere, a business in no amount of time whatsoever. And that's what we did. So one of the beautiful things was I learned a lot about my team. My team was able to come together really quick and put something together for an individual who has suffered a lot, been through a lot, and sacrificed a lot and given a lot. So you're in for a treat today. I'm going to introduce you to someone that's going to absolutely blow your mind, and their story is going to do even more. So I'm going to put a commercial on. I want you to share this out. We're live right now on every channel, every medium, Facebook multiple times, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Listen, this is going to be one of those episodes that you're not going to forget. And you're really going to want to share this out. And we'll leave this up when it's done. But I'm going to put a commercial on real quick before I bring her out. Just give me 1 second and we will be right back. There's slow growth and then there's scale. There's incremental growth and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 + 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 + 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 + 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 + 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Sean Rye East. I'm proud. I said Sean Rye East. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire and heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. All right, Jessica, phenomenal morning. I know we had a couple snafus on the back end, but welcome to the Breakfast with the Brand. How are you doing this morning?
Good, how are you?
Very well. Mic check is going phenomenally. Okay, so we met just maybe 4 or 5 days ago. Was it 4 days ago or 3 days ago? It might have been 3.
It
might have been 3
night.
It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable, guys. And I want everybody watching this to kind of pay attention to what happens when purposeful paths intersect. When purposeful paths intersect. So, Jessica, why don't you give us a background and kind of tell us a little bit about your story, who you are, and how you got to be here?
Well, first of all, thank you. Again, we met Wednesday night, and all of this has come together in an incredible, unbelievable amount of time. So thank you. My name is Jessica. I'm 100% sure you all don't know me because I don't really, do any social media speaking or posting that much in general. But so I'm a physician. I live in Dallas now, and I grew up in New York City. And my story is that essentially what brought me here is Jessica's journey. So it's a fundraiser that's near and dear to my heart. And we're fundraising for cancer research. So when I was 18, I was diagnosed with lymphoma. And if you can imagine, I was 18 getting ready to go off to college, and all of a sudden I found this lump on my chest wall. And I was like, has that always been there before? I mean, I'm 18 years old, right? And I showed it to my mom, and I was like, oh, this is kind of a little weird. And I got it checked out. And initially the doctors had said they thought it was a benign tumor and that I could just kind of get it taken out later when I came back from college break. But we decided to just go ahead and get it removed before I left for college, and it came back with cancer. So my mom is actually the one that told me, that I had cancer. The doctor actually had called her and shared the news with her first. And at the time when I got the diagnosis, I was, devastated. I mean, I had an uncertain future at that point. And so things were really uncertain for me. But luckily, I got in treatment with the right doctors, and they were really aggressive. And I was actually diagnosed as stage 4 because it had spread along my chest wall at that time. And I'm here today, went through my treatments, been in remission for over 20 years now. And that experience led me to believe and feel that, God was putting me on a path. And the thought was, hey, you should become a doctor.
Okay, so let me just back up and make sure I've got this correct. So at the age of 18, you're on your way to college. What were you thinking about going for in college prior to? What was your plan?
What's funny is that I was actually studying to become, or I was thinking about being a news reporter, like a newscaster.
Okay. So you wanted to take on media and public, kind of like PR, public relations, media, news. And then, let me just give you guys a little bit of a background on me. I say that God plays chess with people. I've always said that. He saved my life with my wife. He pushed so many. Sometimes what you see as an obstacle is actually an opportunity. And then what you see as complications are course corrections, right? So you might want to use a pen for that. Complications become course corrections, and what you see as an obstacle actually becomes an opportunity. So here's an 18-year-old female in the Bronx. I'm from Harlem, by the way, right? So she has something put in her way, a stumbling block, which causes her to lose focus on the first objective and focus perhaps where it was meant for her to focus. So you get diagnosed with stage 4, not 1 or 2, but actually stage 4 cancer, and you battle it. But you told me on the call that we had yesterday, you told me that when you contracted the cancer and was told about it, when your father became aware, he said something to you. What did he say to you?
He looked into my eyes and he asked me, are you going to survive? And I honestly, was kind of taken aback. I didn't really know what to say. I mean, I was an 18-year-old girl, and I just responded that, that yes, I'm going to fight. I'm going to do everything that I can.
And then you go on to do battle, gladiators, right? You go to war, you enter the Coliseum, you beat the cancer, and then you continue into college, but with a renewed vision. What is that renewed vision?
So I was convinced that, God changed my path and wanted me to become a doctor because I had been a patient and I felt like I would have something unique to offer. There's not, being Puerto Rican from Brooklyn, New York, I, my mom was 15 years old when she had me. So like schooling and things like that were not like high priority. But I always just did well in school naturally. So for me, that becoming a doctor was out of reach for me, but I felt something within me and I was like, well, God wants me to be a doctor. I'm gonna, I have a unique perspective. I can help people. I've always loved helping people. And that was kind of how it started.
Okay. So just so everybody catches it, right? New York, youth, college, cancer, a renewed vision, course correction, and remission. We'll be right back in a moment. This is The Breakfast with the Brand. Let's grow. It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just a very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. as the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Sean Ra'is. I'm proud. I said Sean Ra'is. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So we are back on the Breakfast with the Brand with Jessica. Jessica, we got the beginning of the story, right? We got the beginning of the story, and guys, listen, I do branding for a living, for real. So when I first heard it, I had my own ideas because you know my purpose, you know my passion. I'm just a kid from Harlem who God chose to show his favor and mercy through. Grew up in the late 80s, early 90s. The war on us, not the war on drugs. So I had my own vision of what we were going to push and what we were going to do as a project. But as I listened to Jessica's story, and there are stories, and then there are stories, right? There are stories, and then you hear something that changes everything. That's extremely unique, extremely different. So from what you've heard thus far, you may be able to draw some correlations and say, I know a couple people who, or maybe yourself, maybe a loved one, maybe a relative, right? This is something that people really do battle with all of the time. So it wasn't that really caught me. It was what happens afterwards. So Jessica, you said that you did battle, you won. You changed your course in college. You got some course correction. Now you have the inspiration to become a doctor. Pick it up right there and tell us what happened.
So, a lot of those years were kind of preparing for med school. And then I remember when I went to my med school interview, someone kind of spoke life over me. I was in a coffee shop and someone kind of approached me and gave me some words of encouragement, like right before my med school interview, because of course I had all this imposter syndrome and at this point I can't even remember, they say that you don't always remember what people what someone has said to you or the exact words, but you will remember how they made you feel. And I remember that right before I went into my interview, I felt very encouraged. And I interviewed, I got into medical school and did my courses, and man, it was a struggle. I mean, I went through the Brooklyn public school system, and the preparation was definitely not as strong for being in college at that level and pursuing medicine. But I put my head down. I worked really hard. I got the help that I needed when I needed it, and made it through college and med school. And then I got into residency, and I had decided at that point that I wanted to do emergency medicine. Because I just felt that like my idea of being a doctor was kind of, being a jack of all trades and being able to handle an emergency, right? So that's kind of the passion I pursued, and it actually led me to meeting my my husband at the time, he was studying to be a radiologist at the same residency.
Okay, so you're doing a resident. You kind of go from out of the frying pan into the fire, right? So medicine is one thing, guys. I've got 3 master's degrees. Okay, so I know a little bit of something when it comes to college, and med is no joke at all. Matter of fact, master's degree in medicine. How long did it take you to get that? Real talk. What was the number?
4 years of college and 4 years of medical school.
4 years of college and 4 years of medical school. So it's about the equivalent. As a matter of fact, it's a little bit more than 3 master's degrees. 3
And
master's
then
degrees
you do 3 years of residency after that.
and 3 years of residency. So my entire master's degree career is the same. It's not equal to, because it's different. There's blood everywhere. Not my thing, right? And it's a different level of learning. It's a different level of learning. Medicine is super detail oriented. I'm bigger picture, right? So, but I know those people because I've seen them before on campus, and I've always admired their work. Always admired their work. So you go to gladiator school in school and you win. And then what a lot of people do is, they made it. They're a doctor now. They get to sit back. They get to get the big car and the big house, and they have their little practice and they do their thing. But you chose to go back into the fire and do emergency medicine in kind of like an ER situation. And that's where you meet your husband. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, we always laughed about our story because he remembered meeting me at a welcome party beforehand, and I didn't remember meeting him. And it wasn't until like a couple years later that we met again, and then we kind of hit it off and we became friends. And it was a really good time in our lives because at first we were just friends, so there wasn't a lot of walls, and we just kind of hung out. We used to love going karaokeing, at New York City, eating Korean fried chicken and doing all the things. And then, eventually the friendship started to turn into more. And at first I resisted because, I didn't want to lose our friendship. And, but he felt like, no, this was the right thing. And he was persistent. And then we ended up getting engaged and getting married.
God plays chess with people. He certainly does. He has a way with changing things through people. What was your husband's name?
Chunder Lee.
Chunder Lee. And you go on to have children.
Yeah. How
many children do you have?
So I have 2 that I shared with Chunder, and then by the grace of God, I did recently, just this year, remarried, and I have a 1-year-old baby girl. So I've been blessed.
Okay. So remarried, baby daughter. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Very blessed. How does this happen? Explain it to the audience, because I'm sure there's some pieces and some gaps that people are wondering about. And we're going to leave this live stream up. We're going to leave this live stream up afterwards. You can come back to it. But how do we get to Jessica's journey? How do we get to help finding a cure for lymphoma? And what happened? You have 2 children with Chunder Lee, and then something unbelievable takes place.
Yeah. So one night when I was lying on Chunder's shoulder, I went to get up out of bed, and I put my hand on his stomach area, his abdomen, and I pushed up to leverage myself. And I felt something. I felt a mass, a growth that I knew was not normal. He hadn't, a couple months leading up to it, he had been having some stomach pain that was coming and going, and he had a CAT scan that didn't really show much. They thought it was just, gastroenteritis or a small like infection, or maybe it was an ulcer. So he had been doing the things to kind of, avoid upsetting an ulcer. But when I felt that, I knew that life was never going to be the same again. That night, he went in to get a CAT scan, and I stood home with the kids. And I remember, when he left the house, thinking that this was the last night of normalcy.
So you have a premonition. You have a premonition that life is never going to be the same again. We're going to pause here for a moment because I want to come back to this, but I want everybody to think about your intuitions and your premonitions. I always say that women are very much more intuitive than men, right? We are kind of like, okay, everything's okay. We're going to be fine. And we just go with the flow and just do things as we need to. But women are different. They sense things. They feel things. They're very intuitive, and they have different skills that men generally don't have. You're not going to want to miss this next segment, guys. And if you can, you're going to want to share this out. Share this to your profiles. Tag some people who need to see this. We are on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, and we're on 2 different Facebook platforms, guys. Trust me. Tag someone, share this out. You're not going to want to miss the next segment. We'll be right back. This is The Breakfast with the Brand.
Business is like a game of chess. It's not checkers. If you don't know how to lead with a personal brand, then you're losing the battle.
Everything about Sean's talk was fantastic. I mean, I got so much from it.
So he was really bringing fire and passion and just love and spirit to let everybody else know how do you become a leader amongst the leaders.
You hold the key in your hand. There is more power in this phone than there was that took the first man to the moon.
His energy, his dynamic information, gave a really great presentation.
I didn't ask for any money. I didn't have an offer. I had a heart to help people and meet them where they were at and find their need and fulfill it.
Sean is the bomb.
I don't talk theory, I don't talk hyperbole, I don't talk opinion. Nothing I talk is anything but evidence-based.
During the G-Circle retreat in Atlanta, I had the pleasure and the honor of listening to Mr. Sean Raiz. He will not only impact your organization, but he will elevate your team to another level.
When you change you, when you put you into the equation, the whole system is different. I guarantee you, you got the right thing. You are the right person.
If you can present yourself in the best way possible, there's no negotiation.
His energy is infectious, and I have so many takeaways from the presentation that I can't wait to get started and implement them today to see the result.
The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves.
You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself.
I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
All right, so we're back. You beat cancer, you conquer it at the age of 18. Fast forward, you're in the ER, you're a doctor now, you meet your husband, you have children. He has something in his stomach, you're not sure what it is, you send him to the hospital, he goes, you're there with the children, and you have a sense that life is never going to be the same again?
Yeah, so that night he called me because we didn't want to alarm anyone. So I stood with the kids when he went in to get his scan, and he called me and he told me that it was a huge mass in his abdomen and a huge tumor growth, and which just like explained, why he was having all the stomach pain on and off. And it was mind blowing because we're both doctors, and he had a CT scan literally 4 months ago, and there was barely anything concerning in terms of cancer, just some inflammation that they saw, but it wasn't, for it to blow up like that in a matter of 3 to 4 months was really unbelievable.
So you catch cancer, beat it, become a doctor, meet your husband, and then he has cancer. Now, I know there's many different forms of cancer, guys. I'm not a doctor by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a psychologist. But I know there's multiple different forms of cancer. So what form of cancer did you have? And then what form of cancer did he have?
So I had lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's diffuse type B, and he had the same exact cancer.
How many variations are there?
I'm a doctor and I don't even know. There are many, because if you're talking about even lymphoma, there's non-Hodgkin's, there's Hodgkin's, and then there's all the subtypes underneath it. And those are just 2 examples. So when you're thinking about all the other parts of the body that, could start having tumor growth or cancer growth, the number is big.
Okay, so how many years later is this? 20 years and change?
About 20 years later, because I went into remission in 2000, and he was diagnosed in 2018.
With the same form of cancer?
I couldn't believe it. The first thought that popped into my mind was, did I give this to him somehow? Which, my doctor brain knows that that's not possible. I was in remission. It's not contagious. It's just not possible. But that was the first thought in my mind.
Thank you for sharing this with us. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. I try to bring people on who are purposeful, right? Primarily, we work with personal brands. But as I mature a little bit, I'm seeing the need to cross-pollinate into more purposeful brands and purposeful causes and missions. And this has the makings of a mission. It also has the makings of a movie when you think about production. So guys, just as a side note, my entire team was able to come together and assemble like Voltron and put together a phenomenal page, phenomenal video, and phenomenal link for you guys to go ahead and donate to what you're about to learn more about. So go ahead, Jessica, tell us a little bit more about kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel. What happens during this experience, and how much more does God play chess with people?
So we fought to keep him here. We did everything that we could. We got treatment first where we live, and then we went and got treatment at major cancer centers in other cities. We traveled to the New York, New Jersey area. I reached out to the oncologist that treated me, many years ago. We ended up on the East Coast in the end, but despite all of our efforts, and he didn't make it.
I'm very sorry to hear that. So he does battle with the same form of cancer that you had. And I know you said that he actually underwent a surgery. And something took place during that surgery that has impacts on the future.
Yes. So when we were looking for different treatments, we enrolled in a few different trials, medical trials, and one of them, which is based out of Weill Cornell, they were studying, there's a research lab there that's studying resistant lymphomas. And when his tumor was not responding to the treatment and was growing out of control, we did a Hail Mary essentially, because people don't usually get surgery for blood cancers. It's spread all over essentially, but he had such a big tumor that the thought was, maybe if we just cut it out and then blast him with chemo, then maybe we could save him. And it was such a heavy decision to decide to do the surgery, because we knew what could happen. And I think I was so grateful to him, because he was so brave, and he took on the decision himself and decided to have the surgery. I knew he was scared, and we didn't know what the right answer was, but he had the surgery. And during that surgery, we sent some of his cancer cells to the lab to be studied. And so the lab was creating mice models, with cancer cells, and then they would test compounds to see if anything, that was available for treatment was effective against the cancer.
Okay. So the blood gets sent for research, and they use mice models. And were any of those tests successful?
So at the time when we were fighting for his life, when I communicated with the research lab, the tumor cells that, they had taken from his surgery and put into the mice models, they didn't respond to any of the treatments. So they tested over 200 compounds, and nothing worked.
And he eventually succumbed to the disease.
He passed in 2019, and I never shared that piece of information. And I'm sorry, there's like background noise now.
It's okay, don't worry about it. You're fine.
Yeah. Well, he passed in 2019, and one of the hardest things was watching him suffer. The suffering that he went through was really enormous. The pain he had from the tumor itself, from the surgery. I watched him being robbed of the joys of life, like eating, drinking, using the restroom. They were all excruciating and painful for him. He would just be in pain or nonstop vomiting. It was really terrible to watch. And when he passed, and I had to tell my then 5-year-old and 3-year-old that their dad had died, that was just so difficult, and just trying to find the right words so that they could understand. And
we're going to take a break here. I want you to just take a moment, guys, to think about yourself. Think about those that you know. I have lost people. You have probably lost people. This is a serious, insidious battle that people fight every single day. When we come back, we're going to talk about the hope that does exist, the ongoing research. Something else took place with the blood that we're going to talk about when we come back, and you're going to be given an opportunity to make a difference in a cause that matters to so many more than you know. We'll be right back. This is The Breakfast with the Brand.
It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just a very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle. I said Sean Ra'is. I'm proud. I said Sean Ra'is. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Sean, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes.
All right, so we are back and we're closing in on the end, guys. If you haven't done it yet, there's a link at the bottom of this page. And you're going to want to pay a lot of attention to that link because what Jessica's about to say can change everything. So what happened with the blood after the sacrifice was made?
Yeah, so it was actually his tumor cells themselves from the surgery that they did. And they, as I said, before he passed away, they hadn't found anything that was effective. When he passed, I made a donation to the lab, which felt like a pebble in an ocean, honestly, because, when you're talking about cancer research, it's, can take years to have a breakthrough and it's a long road. But a few years after making that donation, I reconnected with the researcher and just got the most amazing news.
What news was this?
So he told me that they had actually found something that was effective against his tumor cells. Oh. And I was crying because that was, when he passed away, I just had this voice echoing in my mind, cure cancer, cure cancer. And I was like, God, I'm not qualified to cure cancer. I'm not an oncologist. I don't treat cancers. I'm not a researcher. But I just, I didn't know what to do. And so, for what I could do was make that donation and to hear that it actually produced something tangible, like a cure, a potential cure here for what we fought, like that meant everything because we fought so hard. And to be able to say that even though he was gone, that we found something and we were able to beat his cancer, not in the way that we wanted to, but in a way that I couldn't predict. But yeah.
Thank you so much. So I want everybody to understand, this is why we donate. This is why we donate, because think of a sales pipeline. Most people who watch my show or anything that I do are they're in business to some degree. So they'll understand this language. So a lead comes in. Research is submitted. If you've been in college, you understand this too. So research is submitted, a thesis, a proposal. A lead comes in. It's a lead in the pipeline. It's a pipeline. The sale takes place over here. The dissertation is submitted over here. Someone gets their doctorate. The sale is made over here. The lead comes in over here. And then the work begins, right? The work begins then. And every donation that's made pushes the lead or pushes the work down the line. So listen, so the cancer tumor cells are submitted. The work stops because it doesn't work. At least that's the supposition. Jessica finds it in her own heart to make a donation, which pushes the lead, pushes the research down the pipeline, and it gets to a certain level. So you just told us that now, after he made the sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice, you make another sacrifice, which is a donation in the form of money that makes the world go round, that allows the people to take further research. And during this further research, they find that there's actually something on the market that is a cure for this. And now further research is needed to continue the fight and to continue to push the lead, or the cure in this case, down the pipeline. Is that the case?
I think you summed it up very well. And that's what Jessica's journey is about. Like I said, this group and this fundraiser has come together in a matter of a few days, and it's amazing. I've met this, just having, this live podcast, I mean, I'm blown away because, yeah, this whole thing just blows my mind.
We put everything together as soon as possible. The funny thing is that God plays chess with people. So sometimes even we don't know what he's putting us in place to do, or who he's putting us in place to meet. I've been working on this for the past 20 years. Everything that I do is meant to help to change the face of leadership, to introduce a more ethical, more human-centered, more servant leadership-based position when it comes to leadership and decision-making and positioning, and who gets attention and who gets light and who gets afforded a platform. And this is a mission, a purpose that I believe deserves a platform. And I have a phenomenal team. Sometimes you don't even know how phenomenal your team is until they're put to the test. So when this came to me, I didn't know if we'd be able to pull it off. But when this came to me, I said, you know what? I said, let me hit a couple of people that I know that are on my team and see if we can put something together in no amount of time. And they showed out like they never showed out before. If you want to light people's hearts on fire, guys, give them a purpose that is bigger than you. Give them a purpose that is bigger than you, bigger than money, bigger than material, bigger than anything you could possibly imagine. Something futuristic, something meaningful. We say that we put people over profit, value over valuation, and meaningfulness over money. And what you did, Jessica, was you gave us a chance to prove that. You gave us a chance to prove that. And I'm always going to put extreme pressure upon the people around me because we put intense and extreme pressure upon ourselves. So my entire team formed together and we created this phenomenal landing page and videos. But the most important thing, guys, that I want you to think about is, what can you give? Because that's what pushes the lead down the pipeline. That's what pushes the sale to the close. My own mother passed from leukemia. I don't talk about this because that's just not a talking point for me, but it's a reality for me, and one that I deal with every single day. And I have other family members that have been impacted by this insidious monster. And if we think about it, all of us listening to this now probably can think of those who have either been taken or have done battle or are currently in battle or who are about to do battle. But this situation, and I want you to think that if there was something that you could do, and there is, to help someone else, maybe even yourself, do battle with a Goliath and show up as a gladiator in your life and in the lives of others, would you not want someone to have been human-centered, sacrificed of their own material goods? If you're not able to, wouldn't you want someone else to do that for you? Of course you would. Now, this is the mirror test. I don't really ask for things from people. We give, right? And right now what we're doing is we're giving to you right now a story a testimony, a true story, and an opportunity for you to make a difference in someone's life. That's what this is. This is an opportunity for you to make a difference in someone's life by giving some of what may have been given to you, to help someone else move forward, to help someone else close the deal. Because I don't want to get too emotional, but had this kind of sacrifice been done before Chinderly went into the hospital, this may not have occurred. So I want you to think of those who you may have lost. And if someone may have given before you lost someone, they may not have been lost at all. So if you can find it in your heart, your mind, your ethics, your leadership, your brand, who you really are, the mirror test. If you can find it in your heart, your wallet, your mind, and your spirit to provide for someone else that which you wish was provided for your loved ones, do what comes natural. Do what comes natural. Jessica, thank you so much for your story. I mean, this started as a project, a friendly competition, actually. But what I think, and I'm not 100% sure, but what I think is that we'll probably push this a little bit further after the competition. That's my thought, because this is something that doesn't need to be momentary. It doesn't need to be momentary. It needs to be momentous. And I think right now we have momentum. You've got my attention, and I'm helping to get the attention of other people. And I want you to hear what I'm saying as I'm saying it, guys. We talk about branding all the time. And for those who are here, that may be one of the reasons why you're looking at this, because of the personal branding, the leadership development. But I want you to think of taking your brand from personal to purposeful. Wrap us up and close us out, Jessica. What would you like to say to your husband, to Chinderly, who gave the ultimate sacrifice, and to the people listening right now?
Well, first of all, thank you, Sean, for being vulnerable. I didn't even know that about your mother, so thank you for sharing. And I appreciate that, because I have opened my life up in ways that I never thought I would over the past 2.5 days. And I've been feeling very vulnerable. And the team wanted to name the cause Jessica's Journey. And I was honestly mortified because of my name being like up there for thousands of people. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I getting into? So I understand what that takes. And you and your team have been amazing. But in terms of your question, I know that Chandra's watching. I'll share a quick funny thing. We had some technical difficulty because my computer overloaded with all the tabs I had open, and Chunder used to always complain about how I had too many tabs open, and he would always try to shut down my computer. And I just thought, the moment we were going to go live, it just shut down. And I was like, Chunder, I know you're trying to teach me a lesson. So I know that he's watching, and but if I could have a conversation with him again face to face, I would tell him, I would let him know, number one, the kids are growing, they're strong, they're smart, they remind me of him every day. I would tell him that we are still fighting and that we won his battle, and now we're fighting for everyone else so that no other families have to go through what we went through. We are turning hope into legacy.
Very good. If you feel it in your heart and your mind to go ahead and make a donation, to contribute, it doesn't have to be $10,000. It can be $1. It can literally be $1. It can be $5. You never know what penny will change someone's life. You don't know. Like, it's always about tipping the body. It's always about getting off the edge, like tipping the whole thing. Like, let me tell a story real quick before we wrap up. The huge barges that come in, that change the transatlantic ocean, the huge ones with the containers on them, the huge metal containers. There's one small thing that turns the entire barge. The entire barge is controlled by a small lever. It's so small. It's about the size of your fingernail, and it's called a trim tab. It's called a trim tab. And this small, imagine something this big, literally changing the tide of everything. It's called a trim tab. Your donation could potentially, your dollar, your $5, your $10. Now, if you have the 10,000, by all means, drop it. However, if you feel it in your heart, by all means, drop it. If something in your spirit compels you to put meaningfulness over money, people over profit, value over valuation, and spirit over salary, by all means, do so. But if you say to yourself, well, my small contribution won't make a difference, don't think that way. Be the trim tab. Because you never know what dollar, what dime, what quarter actually shifts everything. I believe that God plays chess with people. Let him play chess with you. Until next time, this is Sean Raiz and Jessica Hernandez on the Breakfast with the Brand. This has been your Breakfast with the Brand, and I'll see you guys later. Let's grow. Thank you so much for allowing us to step into your heart, step into your homes, and step into your moments with this meaningful contribution. Let's grow.